Nehemias Gil, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Kim?
I'm great.
Good.
Especially I get to see your face here at beautiful Nicholas Ballpark over here in the ball camp area. So this is kind of where what you call home.
It is.
This area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you sat down with me today. I remember the first time that I met you. It was at one of my favorite pizza places. You were working there as a high school student, and you took our order, and then you just made sure that we were well taken care of. And oh my gosh, Nehemias, I remember your smile first. You had this bright smile, and you were so joyful. And immediately, my husband and I, we were like, okay, there's something special about this kid. And so much so that I reached out to the owner just to praise you, to say, this kid is a great ambassador for your restaurant, for your store. Oh. He was so helpful. And she laughed and said, yeah, he's been employee of the month a couple of times. But I was just so impressed. You just seemed to really have a hard work ethic, but such a desire to connect with the people that were coming in and out of the store. So I want you to tell me about what it was like being a high school student, working, juggling all of that, and then where did that joy come from?
Yeah. Well, Kim, I can only tell you that, my joy comes from the Lord, but it comes from people who also are just, they've been there for me. My mom, if there's one thing that I take away from her, it is just always having a smile. And working at Hard Knocks for years.
A long time.
I started when I was 15, and from then on, I was there up until I turned 19. But juggling life and work and school, it wasn't the easiest, right?
Yeah.
But going to work and going to school and balancing those things out, I had no choice but to do so.
Really?
It was something that I just.
Did you enjoy it? Was it, like you say, I had to do it? Mm-hmm. Like, did you have the feeling of, I'm just pressing through this, I'm not enjoying it, but then again, trying to find the joy in it? And what were some of the challenges for you?
It was more so not. So I say I had to do it, but it was more so of, it was a joy, to do. I wouldn't say school was a joy.
So you liked school as a high school student?
I liked school. I did. Yeah. I wouldn't say wholeheartedly, but
I don't think any teen can say they wholeheartedly love their high school experience.
Yeah, but school was great, and work was better. So I always looked forward to going to work after school, and so I would come home, get ready for work, stay up till midnight, 1, 2, get schoolwork done, and then I'd do it all over again.
Where did it come from, though? That hard work. I tell people I had the childhood that everyone deserves, but not many people experience.
Yeah.
I grew up the child of 2 lower middle class parents, no college education, started working when they were, my dad started with the paper route, but they worked their way up. Mm-hmm. And immediately I could tell this kid has a work ethic that's kind of hard to find right now in young people. Where do you think that came from? And how do you maintain it?
Yeah. I'm an old soul. So I always go back to, what happened 20 years ago. People worked hard for what they wanted. And we were talking before this, and you can't play hard if you don't work hard.
Right.
And so that's one of, something that I live by is that working hard will get you to achieving the things that you want to achieve. So I guess for me, that was one thing, but I'm a relational person, and so
Yeah, I can tell.
I can talk to a number of people. And so I love it. I love it. I love meeting new people. I love, you know, if you don't give a smile, you don't get a smile.
Oh, that's great.
And so it's just all those things like factor,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
someone may have not smiled for 3 days, and it's funny that you talked about my smile at
Yeah.
Hard Knocks, and it's like there are people who sometimes would walk in
Yeah.
and no smile on their face, but to see joy and to see happiness, it's like
Yeah.
you get it back. It ricochets. So
Well, and you talked about too, you know, I remember I said the first time that I saw you, met you, the importance of being seen, feeling seen.
yeah,
You felt seen,
yeah, yeah,
and you want others to feel seen, and you can just see that in you
Yeah.
completely. So you also said something that really was so interesting to me. You said Knox County kind of raised me. What do you mean by that?
yeah. I mean, I come from the north. I'm from New York.
Okay, and you've
Totally.
been here what, 15 years?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally different
Yeah.
from Southern hospitality, as we call it, right? And so I cherish what we have in Knox County, and so I followed after that.
So you kind of had something to compare it to.
Right, right.
A
Yes.
culture there, a culture here.
Exactly.
This was warm, inviting.
You smile over there, you don't get a smile back. Here, it's different. And so that's Southern hospitality. I mean, that's what we call it, and that's what it is, you know,
Right.
come over to our house, we'll cook for you.
Right.
You
We
know.
love food. Don't we? I talk
Right.
about that a lot. Food is comforting.
It's
Yeah.
so comforting.
Okay, so now you're here. You've been here a while. You've gone through school, and I love the fact that that work ethic and that drive that I saw in you at 15. Now, I mean, you're oozing this professional drive. Like I can tell that you love your work. You chose to go into real estate.
I did.
Tell me about that choice.
I did. So, a friend, Alexa
Yeah?
Sponcia,
Yes.
in 7th grade, she was taking me to school, and she was like, you should do real estate.
Yeah.
7th grade, I remember going to the library, looking up what real estate is, and it's just selling houses. And the bonus for it is you build relationships. And so I was like, this is so me. I don't know if I can sell houses when I'm 18, but I just went for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, thus far, it's been the best business decision I've ever made to go into it right after
Yeah.
I got out of school.
Well,
And
the courage that took. I mean, that was a risk.
it
You know,
was.
traditionally,
Yeah.
kids think my next step is I go to a 2 or 4 year institution. I'm very much an advocate of encouraging kids that may not be your path.
Yeah.
That may not be what's right for you. And the fact that you acknowledge that early and at 18, and you were ready to just jump into the workforce. You were ready to jump into the professional world.
Yeah.
It's so brave. And so what was it like going through that? Because there's you have to go to real estate school,
There
the
is.
certifications. It is not easy. It is not easy. What was that like for you?
I mean, it was a hurdle
Yeah.
to get over.
Yeah.
But I mean, not many people can say that you can go to school for 3 weeks. That's all it takes, 3 weeks.
Wow.
To make your own hours, make as much money as you want to make, and I tell everyone this. I mean, there's no other, and it's just being intentional. It's being intentional about who you're serving, and it's serving people. And so, I mean, it was a hurdle to get over, but I knew what I wouldn't say finish line, but after getting over that hurdle, what the rest of that entailed and looked like.
Yeah. Okay, so you seem like you're a very goal-driven person. You set personal goals, professional goals.
Yes.
You told me you kind of set the goal in 7th grade, real estate. What did it take to reach that? And maybe is there a goal that you've had that you didn't meet, and how did you respond? Because you just seem so optimistic and hopeful. So tell me about meeting a goal and then maybe something that you set and you came a little short.
Yeah. Yes, real estate was one. That was my biggest one, was walking out of high school and going into real estate. But I don't think that if goals aren't set, then it's kind of hard to work towards something, if that makes sense. Especially being in the profession that I'm in, you have to, it's really vital to be able to get better and better and better.
Right.
And so, setting goals it's important. I think as far as a goal that I've set and didn't achieve, it was a personal goal. I'm all about adventure and I'm all about fun. And so I didn't go to 2 countries last year, COVID, but it was something that I just work harder towards. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but possibly.
So you want to travel?
I do. Okay. I want to travel around the world. That was a luxury that I never had growing up.
Yeah.
And so that's one of my biggest.
Where would you want to go first?
I think.
If we could put you on a plane right now, Nehemias, where would you go?
Where would I go? That's a good question. I would go somewhere in the Caribbean, most likely Jamaica.
Okay.
I love just the ocean.
Me too.
All that,
it's my
all
happy
that good
place.
stuff. Oh yeah.
You know why I like the beach? Because it makes me feel so small.
That's good.
It just makes me feel small comparatively to what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And how a lot of the stuff we worry about, it's really not important.
Yeah.
It's really not. So, now you and I have had several conversations because, I'm passionate about intentional growth and development.
Yeah.
And when you started down this career path of real estate, we started having conversations about, what are you seeing out there as far as growth and development in the housing market and the needs and roadways, school capacities, all of those things that I kind of put under the umbrella of infrastructure. What are you seeing? What have you experienced?
Yeah, so we know that there's a need for supply.
Yes.
Because there's so much demand. And then I think one of the biggest things is houses are increasing, the prices of homes are increasing. About 20% every 6 to 8 months. And it's because you have low supply, and so buyers are outbidding, allowing other properties in that area to compare for more. And so, I think that's one of the biggest things just in the real estate market.
What do you hear from potential buyers? Like, what's their price point?
Yeah.
What are they looking for? What's important to them
Yeah.
to find in a home?
Yeah. So, I think, we're known for a lot of land, a lot of yard. And so a lot of people want that, especially clients with kids.
Yeah.
They want land for their kids, and we're known here in Knoxville for that. We're not a city where you get 1,200 square feet for $400,000, right? But that's one. That's one of the biggest. And then, people they just want a large enough space to invite family in, to do, to host family gatherings.
Right.
And so I think that a lot of people want 2-car garages,
Okay.
which isn't hard.
Okay.
But
do you think that's because they have 2 working family members, or?
I would say so. And I also think when you have kids and when you factor kids into that,
Yeah.
mom and dad's parking in the garage and the kids are parking outside.
So what price point are they looking for? Because you and I have talked about there's a certain price point with what we would call just healthy housing that folks who are working their tails off, they still can't afford. And there's such a need for those price points. What is the average price point you're seeing
I think
for buyers?
Yeah, so I think 250.
Okay. Is there a lot? The inventory is pretty slim.
It is.
On that price point.
So it is difficult when something 250 or in that price range hits the market. I mean, it's
gone.
Yeah, it's. I mean,
What do you think the turnaround is? I mean, how long do you see a listing like that stay on the market?
The longest 72 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
And you said there are multiple bids.
Multiple. I mean,
over asking price.
There's on homes now. There's over about 5 offers on each. I mean, when you go down to the lower end, there are a lot of buyers who are pre-approved for that price point, and so going on the lower end, I mean, you could have 14 to 20 offers on the lower end. Yeah, so there's a lot of competition, but I think 250 to probably about 450 is the average price point for purchasing.
Are there certain areas of the county that have more of those price point homes than others?
There are. So when you're coming along the west side, you'll see homes that are 275 to 300, or I'm sorry, 275, and it ranges all the way up.
Yeah.
When you go, to the east side of things, you're going to get price ranges are going to be less.
Really?
They are, and it's just, I mean, comps homes there are smaller, and so that's what drives it. There are, there's a number of large houses there that allow properties around it to sell for more.
Okay.
And so the housing market, I mean, we've seen a slight change, very, very slight change.
Recently?
Yes,
Okay.
but I mean, it was slight as in you went from 15 to 20 offers on most homes, probably about 550 and less, to now we're seeing about 4.
Different areas of Knox County have different kind of price points. And they also have different offerings, and they also have different needs and different visions. I think I've learned that Knox County really isn't just one big community. It's all these little great, wonderful, unique pocket communities.
Yeah.
You're seeing a difference in price points in all of those. Talk about that.
So I think as far as price points, they've changed within the last year. We've seen that. We know that. But just, I mean, the market in general has grown because we've seen so many out-of-state buyers.
On average, if you had 5 buyers, how many of those would be out of state?
Probably 2.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, 2 out of 5 would most likely be.
That's lower than I thought, just from what I'm hearing, that so many people are finding Knox County very attractive because it's a great place to work and live and buy a house.
Yeah.
But the different price points you were talking about, how you do see in some areas lower price points versus other areas. Is that because of the price of land? Is it because of existing development? Is it because of, I don't know, schools?
Yeah.
What's the difference there?
What drives it are the prices of the home. Okay. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah.
There?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, there's just, I mean, you walk into different price points based on where you live. I wouldn't necessarily.
So why do you think that is? That's what I want to get to, is a house in West Knoxville, the same home in West Knoxville, it'll cost you, $300,000. In East Knoxville, it might cost you $175,000. It's the same house. So what is different? What makes it different?
Yeah. So, okay. Our new construction. There's a lot of new construction.
Okay.
On the west side of Knoxville.
Okay.
Which allow prices of homes in that area.
Oh, they're called comps, right?
Comps, right.
Yeah.
So the comparables in that area become greater based on new construction. And not solely based on new construction, but again, we go back to outbids. And when when a house is sold for $20,000, $40,000 more, the house right next to it can sell for just that price. Whereas on the east side or the north side, there's not as much
new construction.
Right, as much new construction.
Driving the price point and the market.
Right,
I see.
right.
Okay. Wow.
So, I mean, it's
coming, though.
It is. With the new Amazon Center happening.
There's going to be a lot of new. I'm seeing a lot of new development.
Yeah.
Countywide, not just in certain areas anymore, but countywide, which is a great thing. But you and I have talked too, and we agree that intentional growth is something that the county could do a little better job of.
For sure.
Planning for the growth. And you had mentioned too, you're seeing that there are roads that need to be improved, and your sellers are concerned about school crowding, and they want their kids quality of life,
right?
And those things. What do you hear from a buyer is most important to them when they're looking for an area to live in or a house?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is schooling, right?
Schools.
How great are the schools? And then we're also hearing, for the most part, as far as traffic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I don't know how to word it, but there's a lot of
traffic.
There's a lot of traffic.
Well, when you have more people, you have more cars.
Right.
And we don't have a lot of public transportation in the county.
Right.
And so they're using their cars to get everywhere.
Right.
And then with houses being so close to schools, people aren't walking to school very much. I'm seeing a good utilization of bus services, but we're typically taking our kids to school in these cars. And so there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
And you had told me, sometimes that's a deterrent for a buyer. They don't want to be in an area where there's so much traffic.
Right.
And so they're going elsewhere. How do we keep those people here in Knox County? Well, improve the roads.
Right. Right. And I think planning just in general, before big projects take place, I think the city can work on planning for the community, or the area, whether that be widening roads to create another lane, whatever that is, or creating a separate lane for schools, right? I think that's one of the biggest things. It's
and
just
I've always
planning.
been fascinated, just in some of the work that I've done. I constantly hear that roads follow development. Development doesn't follow roads. And so I kind of see that as, well, we kind of back into our infrastructure. And it's the same with utilities. We expand our utilities as growth and demand increases.
Right.
Instead of, like you mentioned, well, what if we identified within our county, this is where we have existing utilities and services and newer roads to support the growth, and identify that, and then revisit it on a regular basis. Well, we can grow outside of this. and maybe outside of this and extend our infrastructure, but really be more intentional with growth through planning. And for me, that's just it's being a better steward of our taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Is identifying where do we want to grow, and then also preserving a certain portion of the landscape of what makes our county so beautiful.
Yeah.
I think Knox County really does have a place for everyone. I tell people my table is wide and long.
Yeah.
There's a place for
that.
everybody. And as long as we have teens and youth just like you out there walking the walk and inspiring others, we've got a pretty bright future. We really do. So if you could be known for one thing, what would it be?
What would it be?
Yeah.
That's a good question, Kim. I think for serving others.
Yeah.
I think that would be the biggest thing is no matter where I go in life or no matter where I'm at 5-10 years down the road, I'll still be serving others in any way that I can.
Do you have a mantra?
I do.
What is it?
Stronger together.
Oh, that's a good one.
Stronger together.
Is that a part of, you said Knox County raised you. You
Yeah.
said it takes a village.
It takes a village.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, we're all stronger together. 2, 3, 4 people can get something done quicker. And we know this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Than one person trying to take it all on or trying to do it all together. We're better together.
We are better together.
We are.
Nehemias, thank you.
Thank you.
For sharing with me your time and your energy. Again, I think you're just a remarkable young man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was an
And thank
honor.
you all. See you next time on The Porch.